Hello everyone, this is SWTOR here, back with a Nostalgia Republic video. Today for guys, another Nostalgia Republic discussion video. In today's Nostalgia Republic discussion video, we're just going to be talking about the game Burnout. So essentially, this discussion video won't be only related to Star Wars The Old Republic, but more of a general discussion video, kind of going over what you should do when it comes down to game Burnout, or when you've played a game for quite a long time and you're starting to get burnt out or starting to get really bored with it, but you still want to essentially play it. So I hope you guys enjoy this Star Wars Republic discussion video. As always, if you guys enjoy these videos, then make sure to leave a like. And if you guys want some gaming mints, then check the link in the description down below, Catalyst Gaming Mints. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in this discussion. Alrighty guys, let's get into this video right now. So that game Burnout. Essentially, I can guarantee almost everyone has felt it or has dealt with it at some point. You're playing a game for quite a long time, or it's one of the main games you actually play, and you start to get really burnt out with it. You start to get bored, and it really doesn't seem to be going your way. I can admit that obviously this has happened with this game before. I feel like with Star Wars Republic, if you play it for quite a while, you will definitely at some point when you're playing deal with this burnout. I just really want to go over how I kind of dealt with it, because I still really enjoy this game, but I feel like sometimes if you play something too much, you will start to get bored of it, or if you play it essentially too much in one time, you will get bored with it anyways. So like I said, the one thing that I did mainly is I tried to kind of like vary my game style, the type of games I actually play. It's kind of weird, but a lot of people, and I can, like I said, I can like attest to this myself, is I feel like when you have a different vast amount of games to play, rather than just always focusing on one, sometimes it really can help out a lot. I know that, I've started to get bored of some of the games I mainly played. For example, we had like CSGO, Overwatch, and this game, Star Wars The Old Republic. I was playing these games very often, and from what I found is by playing these games so often, it got to the point where I was like essentially burnt out, and I really didn't want to play them at all. And since those were my main games, it just really kind of messed me up in the sense that I really wasn't sure what to play almost at all. So of course, what I decided to do is get to some other /new multiplayer games just to play. Don't play the main games that I normally play as often. And then it seems like, when you come back to it, it isn't as bad. Especially with this game, it seems like, since I've started to do that, I've been able to enjoy this game a lot more than at certain points where I was really starting to get bored with it and just feeling completely done with it. So that is something to know right there. It's definitely kind of like a vary your stuff that you're actually doing. Now, another thing is try to do, I guess, like different content in the game. I know that there's some people that are like heavy on PvP, or people that are incredibly heavy on PvE, especially in this game. And when you start to do that, I feel like sometimes people focus on one thing too much, and eventually they kind of get irritated with the game as a whole, and they just really are getting bored with it. But what I've found, especially with me, is when I try to focus on different aspects of a game, something I don't really focus on before, I feel like it really starts to bring my attention back to the game, and it really allows me to enjoy those qualities that were found when I originally picked it up. And another thing this Burnout goes back to is just when there's a lack of serious updates coming to a game in a certain time frame. Especially with MMOs, this is incredibly exclusive for this. You pay for the game constantly, you're just paying that subscription time, and there's not many updates happening at the moment, and you really just kind of like look at the pros and cons of staying sub to a game. You can just decide what to do right there. I mean, for example, with how I see the game currently, there's really no reason for me to actually be subbed with the amount I'm able to actually play, along with, the values that are kind of being released with the updates. And that is something, once again, to consider, especially with Burnout, is if you're not really playing the game that often, or there's certain aspects that you're not playing and you really don't want to try them, then sometimes just unsubbing from a game or not really paying for it for a certain time can also be a really good option. Now, I'm not saying, oh, hey, if the game requires a subscription, just completely quit the game if you start to get bored. I'm not saying that, but if you are getting bored with the game and it's like sub only, for example, I feel like a break for some people is a very valid option. But if they have like free to play or preferred like this game, that is also a pretty good option, because you're able to still play the game, but also you don't have to be paying for a sub when you might not be using it too often, or using aspects of the sub that are, not really using your money in a good way. Because I know that some people are very just heavy on just, not wanting to essentially just waste money on a game when they aren't really doing anything with it. I know me, for example, I wouldn't want to be just paying like a sub, every single month if I'm not going to be like playing almost anything that actually utilizes that sub, because at that point you're just basically just throwing money at the game for absolutely no reason. So that is something to do right there. That's something to really kind of like focus on, especially with this game, but also with multiple other games. Is just always understand that you aren't really like, it's not like it's a contract with the game. You pay, you sign the contract and you go straight into the game, having to do everything exactly as told. Obviously, you can change what you want, and of course, games are meant to be fun. You don't want to be feeling like it's a chore, or like you actually have to pay for a game, or like even play a game. Because let's be honest, if you're doing that, then there's really no reason to actually be playing it in the first place. And quite honestly, what I believe to be the top thing to deal with this game Burnout is always try to find friends or make connections with the guilds, clans, or anything on the sorts of that in a game you're playing. I have definitely found that when you try to, do a little co-op thing with other players, or just try to play with other players in the games that you're playing, especially for multiplayer, it's incredibly good just in the fact that if you're able to play alongside other people, you're able to not only work together and complete certain tasks that you might have not been able to do before in a game, but you're also able to kind of create a bond that is very reliable and can also help with just the things you do in the game. I've found, and I'm pretty sure, like I said, almost anyone can attest to this fact as well, is just by having friends in-game or just getting into a guild or something along the lines of that, you're able to do and accomplish a lot more that you might have not been able to do in the past, and also really create for a lot of fun times. But I'm not saying, if you are still not enjoying a game, I'm not saying like friends are going to solve the solution, or, just joining a guild or something is going to make the solution for everything. That's not going to be the case at all. But it is something that should be heavily considered, because if you have people in a game that you enjoy playing with or something along the lines of that, then you definitely want to keep that in mind. Because let's be honest, if you have that as an option, I feel like a lot of people are going to be okay with the game, and they're just going to be able to enjoy it with no issues whatsoever. But anyways, guys, that's all I have to say for this Star Wars Republic discussion video. I know that this video was all over the place, and I went over multiple different points in just completely random directions, but like I said, like the main core value is, of course, just try to play other games and make connection with friends, and just do all that different stuff and use some smart consumer strategies, and you should be all good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Star Wars Republic video. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.